back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake, and as you can see today, it is just me, as I will be doing a solo review of the Twilight Saga. Obviously, originally this was a book series that then got turned into 5 movies over the course of, I believe, 2008 to 2012, something along those lines, I want to say. I just watched them for the first time. The entire saga, did it in 2 days, as I was pretty captivated. So I was tuned in, so I had to finish it over the course of 2 days. And I just thought, because I watched it, this is a pretty big saga, pretty polarizing saga, I guess you could say. After I looked at some of the reviews, some people do not share my opinion. But I just thought that I'd do a review. Obviously, spoilers for the entire thing. So if you have not seen them or you want to watch them, maybe come back. But I kind of have a feeling most people who clicked on this video, you've seen them. And it's probably been a while, most likely. As I said, that it's been over a decade since the last one was released. So I would imagine there's a good majority of people who have not revisited them for a while. And I think you should, especially this time of year. I think with the fall, it just fits. It fits. So I didn't know anything about Twilight. I'll just get a quick little preface. Didn't know anything about Twilight going into it. I actually saw a TikTok of one of them, and it was just like a clip from, I don't even remember which one. And my girlfriend was with me, and I was like, "This is Twilight," and she was like, "Yeah, we watched that whole clip." And then my TikTok just continued to force feed me more, and eventually it showed me a clip of I don't remember which part exactly it was, but I think it might have been the baseball part where the other 3 show up, and I was like, "Who are they?" And she's like, "Oh, those are the bad vampires." And I was like, "There's good and bad here?" And she's like, "Yeah, what did you think?" And I was like, "I thought it was just there's a vampire, there's a girl, and there's a werewolf, and there's a little love triangle here they're trying to figure out. I didn't know there's good and bad vampires and what else is happening." And she's like, "Yeah, there's fights, there's everything." And I was like, "Oh, interesting." So next thing you know, next day, naturally, watched 2 of them, and then the next day watched the final 3. So that was my introduction to Twilight. I knew nothing going into it besides, obviously, the main stars in it. Obviously, what's her name? Kristen, Stewart, Robert Pattinson, Taylor Lautner. Other than that, didn't really know a whole lot going in. But so going to the first one, Twilight, just the original Twilight. I really enjoyed it, and that's kind of what but made me decide to watch the next one. Because I actually really enjoyed the first one. I thought it was really good. Spoiler, it's probably my favorite one out of all of them, I would say. But I watched this first one. Obviously there's the whole franchise saga, whatever you want to call it. There's some cringy moments, some cringy acting. Get over it. Terrible CGI baby. But I watched the first one. I thought it was funny. Maybe not. They weren't aiming to be funny at points. Just some of the awkwardness of stuff that happened with the cast and the delivery of certain lines. But I enjoyed the first one. This one's obviously just focused on learning that Bob Pattinson is a vampire, and kind of their relationship, as the Cullens are so mysterious and whatever, and obviously Bella just had to be like, whoa, I need to be a part of this. So I just thought it was good. The baseball scene, obviously, is a classic. If you don't know about the baseball scene, what are you doing? It's a great scene. Top 10 cinematic moments of all time. But I really enjoyed this movie. Had a pretty good little fight ending at the end of it, too, which I was kind of surprised by. It wasn't terrible. The villain, James, was not bad. Obviously, there's kind of 3 of them. Laurent, I can't remember the girl's name. Victoria, I believe. That sounds right. They're interesting little characters, but overall, they're the main thing here was, Bella and Bob Pattinson, Edward's love, blossoming and growing, and them accepting that he's a vampire, meets the family, all that stuff. I enjoyed this movie. I gave it like a 8.1, I believe. I said something in that line, along those lines. I don't watch a whole lot of other stuff like this, rom-com. I guess this one isn't really a comedy. So, anytime I do watch one, I usually end up being like, oh, that was actually pretty good. And then I don't watch another one for like a year or 2 years. So, just don't know what's good in this whole genre here. So, that's why a lot of people don't like these movies. I enjoyed them. But like I said, this is not in my normal wheelhouse, so something a little bit different. I enjoyed it. Moving on to New Moon, the second one, which I believe, that one came out in 2008 was the first Twilight. And yeah, I think they were all like in a 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 span, just a year apart. So New Moon, did not like this one as much, mainly because there was a heavy drop off of Edward Cullen, the whole Cullen's family, honestly, for the most part. And, my guy Pattinson, we kind of just saw him in these little weird ghost vision, things when she was doing adrenaline rushing stuff. That hurt my score a lot. All right. Taylor Lautner, sure. People like him, whatever. Team Edward, Team Jacob. If you're Team Jacob, you're just stupid at this point. What are we doing? Didn't like that part, I came to see vampires and Robert Pattinson, and this one had a very small amount of both of those things. So this was my least favorite one. I gave it, I believe, like a 6.2, somewhere in that range. I still thought it was okay. And, like I said, this is mainly just my biasy against, I love Robert Pattinson, Vampires are cool. These vampires are a little bit different, the powers and stuff. That was a whole nother thing. Talk about that at the very last movie more of. I'll get into the powers and stuff that I thought was kind of wild. But, I just, I didn't really fuck with Jacob that much. So that's why this one is more Jacob and Bella's kind of relationship. And I'm like, I don't care too much. So that one was my least favorite one. But still, it was okay. It was a decent watch. And then we go into where I think the series kind of picks up a lot more, Eclipse. This one, obviously, the Cullens are back after the end of the second one. And now, what's her face? Victoria. Could be wrong. I think that sounds right to me. Victoria is back, except not fully. It's her using some guy, Riley, I think was his name. Using him to create a whole army of, like the new, I think they call them newborn vampires, to try to come back and kill the Cullens. Because, Victoria mainly she just wants her revenge for killing James. So she just wants her revenge. So she wants to get to Bella. She wants to get to Cullens. So they're up in Seattle, I believe, making a whole army. And that whole storyline was kind of interesting. It was kind of cool to see this one kind of focused more on, the newborn vampires. You got a little bit more, not kind of history, but kind of got to understand the vampires a little bit more about like how, they're so bloodthirsty, I guess you could say, like right when they're born and they're at their strongest because they still have like human blood in them that's still like getting out of their system and stuff, so they're like more stronger and all that stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was kind of interesting to learn about that. We got the werewolves and the vampires, to kind of work together a little bit here, take care of business, get rid of these bad vampires so that the Volturi don't step in, which we learned about them in the second one. I think just the second one. I don't think they were talked about in the first one, but yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. I thought it was cool. It was interesting for the most part. Like I said, I liked how it was a little bit different. This one, I mean, obviously, it still had plenty focus on the whole romance and the whole battle between Edward and Bella and Jacob. What's his name? Yeah, is it Team Jacob? Yeah, that sounds right. You got more into that little love triangle and about how Jacob's like, whoa, I'm better for her than you will, when he's with her while she's trying to sleep, and those two are talking about like, hey, Jacob is better for her, but it is what it is. She's gonna pick who she's gonna pick, and Edward was like, yeah, I'm not gonna make her decision anymore, as we saw in the second one. Went a little crazy, both of them. Like I said, I enjoyed this one. I gave it a 7.6, 7.5, somewhere in that range, I think is what I rated it right after I watched it. But yeah, I thought it was good. It was interesting. And like I said, this is kind of to me where it definitely picks up a little bit more as we go into the finale ones, which is a part 1 and part 2 of Breaking Dawn. Which Breaking Dawn part 1 I thought was okay. I don't think this one was as good as the last one or the next one, but I still thought this one was okay. This one starts off with like the wedding, and which, by the way, the wedding pretty dope. Scenery and all that stuff, the dress, all of it, pretty dope wedding. But you have the wedding, they go on their honeymoon. Obviously, Bella's been craving for that vampire dick before she gets changed. And next thing you know, she's pregnant, rapid speeds, demon baby, some believe. demon vampire baby. So then that causes a whole lot of issues with the werewolves are all like, yo, we got to kill this thing because it's going to kill people. But it's like, can we kill it before it's born? Or do we have to wait for it to be born? Because I don't know, how like invincible this thing's going to be. So then they're like, yeah, we got to wait for this thing to be born and then we got to kill this. So that part was kind of interesting. This one definitely was much more focused on, like I said, once she was pregnant and all that, it was much more focused on that whole issue and Jacob kind of turning his back on the pack to be like, yo, I gotta help out Bella sounds right. I gotta protect her. Me and the vampires will put our guards down for a little bit here. We all want what's best for all of them. You had some drama between, Edward was kind of like, yo, this baby early on, we should have got rid of it. This is not good. I don't want to lose you. And she's like, nah, you'll just got to change me. Like, it is what it is. And so obviously this one ends with the birth of the baby and what you think is also the death of Bella. But he bites her way too many, at least too many times, I would argue, trying to bring her back. Yeah, at least too many. I think everyone can agree on that. But he's doing his best to bring her back. And then at the end, that ends with her opening her eyes and they're being red. Clearly she's been turned into a vampire and she's back alive. I give that one like a 6.8 out of 10. I enjoyed it for the most part, but it lacked a little bit. The whole thing about the baby was not as interesting to me. I mean, it had some parts, but it was just it was kind of a whatever storyline to me. And then the finale, which, like I said, this is just a quick brief. I'll go more into each character and stuff like that at the end if I want to. This is just a quick brief about each movie, just to talk about some key points here. Breaking Dawn Part 2. This one, obviously, the baby is born. She's a vampire. One, they gotta tell Charlie. Obviously, we'll get into Charlie at the end. Don't worry about that. They have to tell Charlie, like, hey, she's back, because like during the whole honeymoon thing, it was like a whole big deal about like, oh, I'm sick, I can't come back yet. Obviously, because she's very pregnant, which is very concerning how quick she was pregnant or how quick she was showing and all that. So, they have to tell Charlie, like, hey, she's back in town. Like, everything's all good. We adopted a baby. It's just my nephew's. Don't worry about that, though. And so, Charlie kind of learns a little bit about, like, okay, so this is a kid. And then he's like, oh, kid has your eyes, Bella. And they're all like, don't you worry about that. Also, Renesmee is the kid's name. Terrible name. Really phoned it in on that one. But anyways, terrible CGI baby. We'll just talk about that real quick. Could use an actress a couple of times, I feel like. Obviously, when she got a little bit older in the movie, they were able to. But for the most part, terrible CGI baby. But, now the... what is their name? Vittori? Yeah, the Vittori who had a whole storyline throughout the whole thing. They're coming to kill that baby because they think that baby's an immortal. Basically, they think this baby was bitten as a child and is going to stay a child, which is not good for vampires because it's going to have tantrums and expose them. All because that one, blonde Alaskan snow girl tried to go and snitch on them because she's all salty that they killed Laurent. So, the Vittori are coming and they're like, yo, we made up our minds. Get fucked. We're coming to kill this kid. So the Cullens are all like, listen, we gotta get witnesses. We gotta protect this kid and show them like, hey, this kid is not immortal. This kid is a growing baby, a rare growing vampire baby, naturally. And then we kind of, like I said, I'm talking the power. I was just going to do a whole recap first and go back, but we'll just talk about the powers a little bit. I thought that was wild that these vampires also have powers. Obviously just some of the main things that we need to talk about. Edward can read minds. Bella is, I think they just called her like a shield eventually at the end there. In the last one, she figured out like, oh, she can, not only can she not be read or have like people use any type of mind powers against her, like the Jane, I think, is the one terrible Vittori girl that can just like cause pain and stuff on people. Not only can people not get in her mind and do stuff to her, but also she can project that to others to like protect them. So that was that was an interesting thing. I thought vampires, between the whole like bloodthirsty, being fast, being strong, immortal thing, I thought that was enough powers for people. But this world, we also got extra stuff on top that each one has, which I was kind of confused about because I didn't know if like, does everybody get powers, or is it only some? Because like some of the people, I don't remember ever learning what their powers were. You know what I mean? Like, what did Carlisle or his wife? Or like, what's her name? Rosaline and the strong dude. Like, what were their powers exactly? Yet some people I didn't understand. All right, there's a couple plot holes throughout the Twilight Saga. I think we could all collectively agree on this. But the second one was interesting. They were traveling, which then didn't make sense because they're like, oh, the Victoria are coming. They'll be here in like 4 days. But they had enough time to like travel like across. Like the Cullens had enough time to travel like across to Europe to go talk to people in Europe and like bring them back before like people in Europe, the Victorias, could get to them. So I was like, okay, these timelines, like where the Victoria, like, we're just gonna chill for a little bit, like we'll go take care of that, like that's a weekend thing, like it's a Wednesday, it's like we'll get there Sunday. So like the Cullens had enough time to like fly overseas and like talk to people and then like fly back home before like didn't make sense. Like I said, maybe the Victoria's like, this is a Sunday type issue, it's like a Tuesday, we'll get to them this weekend. I got a lot busy schedule. They were eating tourists and shit, which I thought that was kind of wild. So they're like, we'll take care of that later. Little plot hole. There's just a few, not too many, if we're being honest. Just a few. The boiled eggs in a bag. What? Like hard boiled eggs? Why are you? The ketchup. What do we? Yeah, like squeak. So, the end, there's a little face-off here. You got werewolves are coming to help out. They're going to protect Bella and Renesmee. Terrible. Alice and Jasper dipped on the family because they had alternative motives, which Bella kind of learned about. Maybe it is just Bella. Is it Bella or Bella? Get over it. They kind of dipped on the family, and they're like, oh, wait. Bella kind of learns, like, hey, there's something going on here. She finds a secret message and all that. So there's a little face-off that happens. Volturi, Cullens, and all their, family, friends, and some werewolves. That scene was pretty cool. Nice little plot twist. Obviously, you have a huge fight scene, which starts off just tragic. Obviously, Carlisle getting his head ripped off. I was very upset when I saw that happen. And that's how it started. And then it goes from there. There's just a lot of, thankfully there wasn't too many like major deaths that I was upset by in the fight, but I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. This is pretty cool. And then at the end of it, you find out, psych, this is all just Alice showing, buddy, this is what would happen. You would die. All of your friends would die. Your one homie wants to die. He was just like waiting for it. He was hyped when that happened. So somebody should probably check in with him. Maybe, see what's going on with him internally. But she's like, nah, this is what would happen, bud. So do you really want to go this route? And then he's like, no, she's right, but like, how do we know this demon vampire baby, we don't know about its growing, how it's not going to expose us? And so then Alice and Jasper were like, yo, look what we found. Dude in Brazil, same thing. He's like 150 years. Looks like he's like 18. Instead, he like stopped growing after like, I think it was like 7 years. He hit like looking, somewhere in 18 to 25 range, and hasn't grown since then. And they're like, what do you eat? And he's like, both. I eat blood. I'll drink some blood if I got to, but I'll chow down some food as well. So like I can do whatever I want. And so they're like, oh, they're all hyped because Renesmee, like they know now, like, oh, cool. So she's not going to be a danger, or she shouldn't be a danger to exposing us. And, Edward and Bella were hyped because they're like, oh, our daughter's going to eventually stop growing, and then she'll be with us for at least 150 years, and, we'll all be a family forever. So I really like that twist. I gave this movie like an 8 out of 10. I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good wrap up to the end. So that was just my quick random rant of each of them, just kind of talking over them, giving some ratings. Like I said, I'll dive a little deeper into some of the characters. First off, I got to start with my guy Charlie, who's done dirty way too many times, which I was upset about. Obviously in the first one, in order to get away from James and that group, she had to stage a whole like, yo, I don't care about you, I got to get out of town, so that he wouldn't question why she's leaving because they need to get her out of there, but also to make it look like she doesn't care about him. I didn't like that I didn't see the apology. I'm a big fan of Charles, as some of you may know him who aren't as familiar with him as I am. Um, I didn't like that. I think I not only deserved it, the crowd, Charlie deserved. We all deserved to hear the apology of the rude words that were spoken to him, and you know he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that. So and I deserved to hear the apology. So I wasn't a fan of that part, but love Charlie. He's a great guy. He was doing his best. He was doing his best. And so the wedding was a great scene with him. Real emotional when you saw the dress and all that, walking her down the aisle. Real scared that James was about to kill him in the first one as well. But yeah, big fan of Charlie. He was definitely one of the highlights. Just like I said, I deserve to see the apology because she was downright rude and disrespectful to him, which he did not deserve. So that was taken from me. But besides that, obviously the main characters, Bella, I don't even know her name to be exact right now. She was a pretty good character overall, like a little too pushy on the whole vampire thing too quick. You know what I mean? She was a little bit like, yo, let's go make me a vampire together forever. And it's like, all right, take it easy here. She's also craving that vampire cock for a little bit too much. Like the guy's been around for about 100 years. Like, let's listen. He's kind of the vampire expert here. He's saying like, Edward's like, yo, let's chill. Maybe like tone it down. Relax a little bit. But other than that, I thought she was a good character. Definitely had some great awkward scenes. Just grade A acting and delivery at times. But I enjoyed her. I definitely did not think she was a bad character. Her whole part about getting mad when she found out that Jacob imprinted on her daughter to try to keep her safe. That was a pretty funny scene of her getting pissed. But overall, I liked her a lot. I definitely don't understand why some people kind of hate on the whole trilogy and kind of casted some negative connotations with like Kristen Stewart or Robert Pattinson. I don't, maybe Taylor Lautner also got some bad ones. I don't really know as much about him, but definitely think some people like let's relax. It's acting. Like, sure, there was some awkward stuff. Get over it, move on. So I don't understand the hatred towards some of those actors and actresses. But and then obviously my man Robert Pattinson, love him. Always been a fan, always will be a fan. Definitely a huge reason why I decided to watch this series, which is why the second one was my least favorite, because that was the least amount of him. Again, like I said, yes, there's some cringy moments, there's some awkward line delivery, there's some just poorly written stuff, but I just really like Robert Pattinson. I thought the character Edward Cullen was relatively interesting. Like I said, the whole reading minds thing, I feel like that was kind of weird little thing to add to vampires that they needed, but whatever. But I enjoyed his character. I enjoyed, Edward Cullen, the whole Cullen's family. I'm not going to dive into everybody, just kind of touch on the ones that I liked the most. Alice was a cool character. Really loved her. She was just, she just wanted to be friends. You know what I mean? She just wanted to have a party at the house. She wanted everyone to be included. One of the best wedding organizers that I've ever seen. I really enjoyed Alice's character. I just, her whole seeing the future thing was a cool little storyline that they had going on at times about what was going to happen or what could be happening. So I just really thought Alice was a cool character. Upset that she left for a little bit in the end one, but I was like, I wasn't mad at her at any point because I knew there's a deeper thing going on. You know what I mean? She wouldn't just dip on the family. So never turn your back on family. Shout out to another great franchise. But I liked her a lot. Other than that, for the Cullens, most of them were cool for the most part. Jasper, pretty weird. I didn't understand what was going on with him. Like, we got more backstory and all that, but like, dude, get your whole bloodthirst under control. Like, I feel like we're like 3 movies deep and you still having an issue with it. I was like, come on. Belle's like chill with it after like a week. She saw her dad like 2 or 4 days after getting changed, I think. Like, relax. Figure that out. You've been a vampire forever. I guess you're like getting off of the blood because he ate we saw in his backstory, guy loved the blood. But like, figure it out. It was too many movies, too longs of him like, oh, there's blood around. Like, come on, figure it out. Other than that, Carlisle was dope. That's about all I'm going to touch about on the whole family. And then I guess I'll just talk a little bit about the whole werewolves as a whole. Along with that, I'll rope in Jacob. The werewolves they were an interesting little storyline. Obviously the second one was definitely much more heavy focused on them. We got kind of their backstory about the how the werewolf, I can't remember the actual tribe name, but their whole legend came from, and hearing about that stuff was pretty interesting. For the most part, I thought they were okay. I didn't think they were anything too special, but I didn't think they sucked at all. Overall, like Jacob, he was chill. Once he got a haircut, definitely was way better. But I didn't think there's anything too special with the whole werewolf storylines and anything going on. But again, I didn't think they were a bad change of something else going on, and then every time they came on, I was like, this sucks. Like I don't care about them. Like they're just okay. So overall, like I said, I enjoyed the Twilight Saga series, franchise, whatever you want to call it. I definitely don't think some of the actors and actresses deserve some of the negative connotations and stuff that was thrown at them since they acted in these. Like, were they the greatest thing ever? No. Was there definitely some cringy, not only acting, but also the dialogue, the delivery, all that stuff? Yes, absolutely. Obviously, I've seen TikToks now. It's been a little bit since I watched them. I've seen some stuff about the whole filter thing, about the blue, all that stuff. I don't know. Some of the hate people need to relax on for sure. Robert Pattinson was the main one that I know of. Like I said, because I when he was announced as Batman, I just remember the huge uproar of why judging him off of something that came out a decade ago. They're like, oh, this guy, and it's like, when that was announced, it was close to a decade ago. Move on. He's an actor. Come on. And I'm sure Kristen Stewart has faced the same thing. I don't know her career or followed her career as much as Robert Pattinson's. Same with Taylor Lautner, maybe others in the cast as well. But I think this is a pretty enjoyable series, and I think it's a rare one where if you're gonna start at any, I'm going to watch the first one, and most likely I'm going to watch the entire series every time. I don't know if I'll ever just be like, oh, I'm just going to watch Eclipse. I feel for the most part, I'll be like, I'm watching, they're just all one thing now. It's I'm going to watch Twilight. Which one? All 5 of them. And I think that's kind of rare for a franchise to just be like, yeah, I want to watch the entire thing right now. I don't care to just watch a certain one. So I definitely enjoyed it. I think right now, if you have, like I said, most likely you've seen them. If you're this far, you've seen them. I think they're worth going back and revisiting if it's been a while and you think, like I said, all right, this is not the greatest thing ever. Obviously, there's going to be times to laugh, but I do think these are enjoyable movies. And for this time of year, now that we're in fall, it's starting to, end of October, we're starting to hit fall season. I feel like it fits right now. So, if you haven't watched them for a while, go back and revisit them, and let me know in the comments down below what you think. Overall, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and oh, never mind, psych, cutting all that out. I'm too lazy. I got school and stuff. Overall rating of the series, I'm gonna give it. Okay, somebody out there could be like, oh, I rated all the other 5. You take that to an average, blah blah. You gave the series an average rating of a 6.4, blah blah, whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it as a franchise as a whole. I'd give it an 8.1 is what we're gonna do here. I enjoyed the series. I like I said, I will definitely be rewatching Twilight at some point. I think it was just a fun series for me. It was a change of pace of what I normally watch. So is that a part of it? Is recency bias part of all this? Absolutely. So what? Sue me. So I enjoyed Twilight. So like I said, an 8.1, somewhere in there. It was a fun series to watch. So now you can comment down below what your thoughts are of not only my rating, but the movies. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys in the next one.